And we will continue on this chapter all about factoring and quadratics and all that kind of fun stuff. So, all right, let's see where we left off. So we're about here. All right, so this one says, write a trinomial that has a greatest common factor of 3x. Okay, so here's an easy way to do this, is we'll say that we can factor out 3x, okay? And then just come up with something to multiply by 3x, okay? So it says write a trinomial, so we could say, let's do 3x. So if we do 3x, and then we multiply it by, I don't know, I'm making stuff up here, x squared plus 2x minus 8, something like that. Okay, then just multiply them together, and that'll be a trinomial that has a greatest common factor of 3x. Okay, so if we just go ahead and do that, so I got 3x times x squared, that's going to be 3x to the third, and you can make up any number you want. They just want it to be 3 terms. That's what they mean by trinomial, right? So then you got 3 times 2, that's going to be plus 6. X times x is x squared. And then finally 3x times negative 8 is minus 24x. So there we go. So that's the easy way to do that. Is just, say, okay, well, I can factor out a 3x and then give some kind of trinomial and then just multiply them together. Pretty simple, right? Okay. So next one says determine the GCF and write the expression in factored form. Okay. So this is kind of similar to something known as factoring by grouping, which we really haven't gotten into. I don't think you'll be concerned with that till probably Algebra 2. But let's take a look at this guy. So let's look at the first two guys here. What can I factor out of there? We'll start with the number. We've got 8 and we've got 12. What's the biggest number that'll come out of there? Hi, Taylor. It's the biggest number that will divide into 8 and will also divide into 12. Yeah. Okay, so we can say 4, right? And then we've got an x squared and an x, so we always say we can bring out the smallest of the x's when they both have them. So we'll do that. All right, so then let's look at this guy and we'll say, all right, if I take 8x squared and divide it by 4x, I get 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then x squared divided by x, that means just drop the power by 1. So instead of x to the second, it's x to the first. Okay, then for the second one, the x's will cancel out because we've got an x up top, x on the bottom, right? Then I've got minus 3 for the other part because we take 12 and divide it by that, so we got that. So minus 3. Okay. Then we go on to the next part. What can I factor out of this guy? I've got 6 and 4, so what can I factor out here? Yeah, just a 2. So anytime you have numbers that are relatively small and they're both even numbers, we can always bring out a 2. So we do 2x, because we're going to bring out an x, right? So then we'll do the same thing here. So we're going to have 3x, and then for the other one, we'll have minus 2. Okay, so you can factor like that. Or you can add them together and then factor. Just depends. But that's what they asked us to do here. They just determine GCF, write the expression in factored form. There you go. Questions? Pretty simple, right? Okay, let's continue on. It says complete the table to factor the trinomial. Okay, so the thing we have to watch here is we've got a minus sign, right? And then this guy's a plus sign. So we're going to have a factor that's going to be one negative and one positive. And then we see what they add up to. Okay, so one of them could be -1 and positive 18. So you add those guys together, you got 18 minus 1, so that'd be 17, right? Then another possibility is 3 and 6, right? So we put the smaller number with the negative, the bigger number with the positive. So 3 and 6, add those together, 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. And then the one they appear to be looking for would be 2 times 9. Again, the negative is the smaller number, the positive is the bigger number. So then 7 minus 2. No, that doesn't work, does it? That's a 9, dummy. I was already thinking of the answer. I do that a lot. You probably notice I blurt out the answer sometimes when I'm working the problem because I'm already thinking ahead. So yeah, 9 minus 2, that gives us 7. So that makes more sense. So this is just another version of our little thing where we do like the cross thing. We say, okay, we need minus 18 up here, and we need plus 7 down here. So we know one of them's got to be negative. And then we plug in our numbers, which in this case is 2 and 7. Okay. So as you know, we did a lot of factoring in here, and we're going to continue to do a lot of factoring. Yeah, if you find that confusing, don't worry about it, because you've got other ways to do this, right? So let's talk about the regular ways we do this. Let's go ahead and just factor some stuff here. Okay, so go ahead and set up shop. And we have x times x. Yeah, sometimes, like I said, when we have different ways of doing things, if one way doesn't click with you, don't worry about it. If you got a way to do this that you're good with, then stick with that, okay? Like I said, I'm not one of these control freak teachers that's like, okay, you have to do it this way or else. No. Get her done, okay? That's all we're worried about here. All right, so we got x and x. And as the old saying goes, plus and plus here means plus and plus here. Okay, so then what we need two factors that multiply together to give us 32 and add together to give us 12. Okay, so 1 and 32, that's too big because that adds to 33. 2 and 16, that's 18, also too big, right? 3 and 12, that's 15, still a little big. And how about 4 and, so we've got 4 and 8? Yeah, there's our guys, right? So 4 times 8 is 32, and 4 plus 8 is 12. So that's our guys. Plug them in, we're good to go. All right, so we got another one here. So again, we set up shop. We have just a plain x squared up front. We can just put an x here and an x here, right? And this guy's negative. So that means we're going to have 1 plus and 1 minus. Because the only way you can multiply two numbers together and get a negative answer like negative 28 is one's positive and one's negative. Okay, so then we'll set up shop down here. So we need them to multiply together to give us minus 28, add together to give us plus 3. So we know that one of them's got to be negative, right? And since the overall addition gives us a positive number, that means the bigger of the two factors has to be negative. All right, so we've got a few to choose from. We've got 1 and 28, which you've noticed usually it's not 1 and 28 or 1 and 32, and normally it's not the extreme values. Normally it's something a little closer in the middle. So 2 and 14, yeah, it's probably still too big, right? 4 and 7, yeah, we might be getting somewhere now, right? So again, since it's a plus 3 overall, we're going to have the bigger number, the 7, go here, and the 4 go here. Okay? So 7 times -4 is -28. Beautiful. And then 7 minus 4 is 3. Yep, we're on it. Cool. So yeah, we've done a ton of those. So any questions? Anything still not clicking on you for that one? So you're pretty good, Chloe. Okay. And the rest of you just feel free to jump on in. All right, next up. All right, so same deal. So we're going to do x times x. Negative sign here means we've got a plus and a minus. And since this guy's negative, that means the bigger of the two numbers is going to be a minus this time. Now, there's a lot of factors for 48. All right, so then one guy's going to be negative, and then our overall thing is -13. Okay? So again, 1 and 48, too big. 2 and 24, too big. 3 and 16, might be onto something, right? And if you're not sure about the factors, just use your calculator. Take 48 and divide it by 2, see if it goes in there evenly. Then take 48 and divide it by 3. Obviously, 1 you don't have to divide. You know it's 48 and 1. Okay? So when divided by 3, we get 16. So it's like, okay, well, if I put 16 negative over here and 3 positive, so 3 minus 16 is -13, and 3 times -16 is -48. And I forgot my negative sign as usual, right? So then that's our guys. Okay? Okay, so the next one, they're trying to throw us a little bit of a curveball, but it's not that big a deal. Okay? So what's going to happen here is it's going to play out the same way, except we've got this y² thing going on, right? So here's what we do. We start with our usual x, right? Okay. Then we got plus and plus up there, so that's plus and plus down here. Then we're going to need some numbers, but we're also going to need a y over here. And that'll take care of this stuff, as we'll show you here once we factor it out. Okay, so we're just going to worry about the numbers then. So we have 2 of them we're going to multiply together to give you 45. We're going to add together to give you 18. So we know that they're both going to be plus. So again, you start just walking through the factors. So 1 and 45, now that adds together to be 46, right? 2 isn't a factor, right? Because this is an odd number. So 2 doesn't work. Go to 3. So we take 45 divided by 3, we get 15. Might be our boy, right? So if we do 15 times 3, that's 45, and do 15 plus 3, that's 18. So all you do is just stick that number in front of the y. 15, and we got 3. Okay. And then what will happen when you multiply it back out, when you multiply these terms, you get your 45y², right? And obviously you'll just get an x² here, x times x, right? So the thing you have to look for here is we've got 15y times x, and they write this in alphabetic order, so they'll write 15xy. And the reason they write it in alphabetic order is the order of multiplication doesn't matter, but if we write it in alphabetic order, we know that the two terms are the same. Because sometimes we get confused. It's like, well, is xy the same as yx? Well, yeah, it is. Okay. So then we do the outside guys. And that x times 3y, so it's going to be plus 3x times y. We add those guys together, so we get the 15 to 3. There's the 18. Bring the xy along, and there's that guy. And as we've said many times, the key to these things is typically that middle term. You get that guy right, you're pretty much golden. So we're good there. Questions? Okay, still good? Awesome. All right. Ooh, a story problem. Yuck. It says, how are the binomial factors? We have x squared plus 4x minus 21 and x squared minus 4x minus 21. So they're both, we got a plus in the middle and a minus in the middle. So that's the only difference, right? So if we factor the first guy out, we do x and x. We have a minus, so one's minus and one's plus, right? And then we need two numbers that give us negative 21, and they add together to give us a positive 4. Okay. So fortunately, again, not a lot of factors here. There's 1 and 21, which, like I say, typically isn't the answer. And then we got 7 and 4. Or 7 and 4. 7 and 3. How about 7 and 3? All right. So 7 times 3 is 21. And since it's a positive, and we know one of these guys has to be negative, we're going to make the bigger number the positive and the smaller number the negative. Okay. Cool. So the only difference between these two guys is this one happens to be a negative 4x. How can we get that to happen? What do we need to do here? So it looks pretty much the same, doesn't it? We're going to have an x here and a 3 here. We're going to have an x here and a 7 here. What do we have to do with the signs? To go from positive 4x to negative 4x. So if we're not sure, you could still do this. We got minus 21, and this time we need negative 4. And again, we know one guy's negative. And then for this one, since the overall thing is negative, we have to switch them, right? So it's going to be a minus 7 here and a positive 3 here. So plus 3 and minus 7. So see, the only difference between these two was to get the positive, we have the bigger number with the plus, and to get negative, we have the bigger number with the minus. So you just switch out the signs, and this has happened when we've done some problems in that we picked the wrong one. Like say if we were trying to solve this guy, and we picked this for our answer, and when we multiply it back out, we got a positive 4x. It's like, well, we need a negative. So the only correction we had to do is we had to do a quick change on the signs, and then we got this guy. So by switching those signs, it switches the sign of the middle term. And that's pretty much it. That's what they were trying to point out there. Okay. Questions? All right. All right, so here's where it gets a little trickier. Okay. So we have a number out front. We have a number out in front of the x squared. So this is where we got to sort of do a little finagle. We got to get the combination to work out here. Now, the nice part about 5 is there's only one way to multiply two numbers together and get 5. There's 5 times 1, right? So instead of doing our usual thing, we set up, now we just do an x and an x. One of them's going to have to be a 5x, and the other one's going to have to just be a plain x. Okay, so now we look at this and say, all right, I need to come up with a positive 9x in the middle. So plus and plus means we've got plus and plus, right? Okay, so the possible choices here are the factors of 4. So that's 1 and 4, or 2 and 2, right? So here's a little logic thing on this one. Anytime you multiply numbers by 2, your answer will be an even number. So in this case, if we multiply something by 2, we get an even number. If we multiply the other guy by 2, we get an even number. It doesn't matter if the original number is positive or not positive. It doesn't matter if the original number is negative. Let's try it again. Might be Wednesday, but it feels like Monday. If the original number is odd or even, when you multiply it by an even number, they always turn out to be even anyway. Doesn't matter if it started off odd or if it started off even to begin with. Okay. So notice that our middle guy is an odd number. So that means we probably should use the 1 and the 4 because 1 is an odd number. Now, the thing that you have to kind of remember is whatever number goes here is going to get multiplied by 5 because of this guy. So if I put the 4 here, I'm going to have 4 times 5, that's 20. That's too much, right? It's going to be too big. So let's put the 1 here, and then that means we'll put the 4 here. And then the biggest thing you need to do then is once you get it set up is just check the inside outside guys. The other guys are going to work out. We already know that. Okay. So if I do the insides, that's 4x. If I do the outsides, it's 5x times 1, that's just 5x. So 4x and 5x is 9x. So again, if you get this guy to line up, you're golden. There's our guy. Okay. All right, so let's try 46 here. So we'll go ahead and set up shop. Now again, we're lucking out because the only way you can multiply two numbers together and get 2 is you're going to have 2 times 1. So 1 will be 2x, and the other will just be x. All right, so we got a negative sign here, right? That means 1 plus and 1 minus, but we're not sure where they're going just yet. So we got to do a little CSI fact finding here, okay? Always comes down to the middle guy, right? The middle guy is always our prime suspect, yeah? Okay, so since he's positive, we need this overall thing to be positive. And whatever number goes over here is going to get multiplied by 2. So we have a better chance of it being positive if we put the plus sign there. So we're going to try it that way. Put the plus there, we'll put the minus there. Okay, so again, we're pretty fortunate here. We don't have a ton of factors for 15. 1 of 15, 3 times 5, right? And as usual, we're probably not going to use the 1 of 15, so we're going with the 3 and the 5. Okay, so let's think about this. If I stick the 5 over here, that's going to be 10. And I don't think we're going to be able to subtract off and get all the way back down to 1. So let's put the 3 here, which means we'll put the 5 here. Okay, so then we check it out. Inside terms, that gives me a minus 5x. Outside terms gives me a plus 6x. All right, so 6 minus 5 is just 1x. So yeah, we got our guys to match up. And as the pen indicates, we're golden. Okay. So like I say, a little bit of logic, a little bit of fact finding, like I say, and if you put the wrong numbers in there, then you won't get the right middle term. And then, but you know how to fix it. It's pretty easy to fix. Yeah, check mark indeed. All right. All right, so then we got another one here. So far we've been pretty fortunate, and we're still going to be fortunate here because 3, the only way you get two numbers to multiply together is 3 times 1. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we'll have 1 have a 3x, and the other one's just going to have a plain x. All right. So then we got our plus and plus here. That's nice. So we just go plus and plus here. That makes it easy. Yep. Okay, so for this one, we need them to multiply together and give us 10. So our possibilities is 1 and 8, or 2 times 4. All right, so 1 and 8, particularly if you throw an 8 here, that's going to multiply that guy by 3, and it's going to be 24, and then you're going to add to it? No, I don't think so. So we're going to go with the 2 and the 4. So again, this number is just a little bit bigger than the 8. So I'm thinking probably, let's put the 2 here and the 4 here. And again, just do a quick check. So, all right, I got 4 times x, that's 4x. And here I got 3 times 2, that's 6. Bring the x along. And it ends up to 10. Yep, we're good. Okay. All right, last one, at least for this page. All right, so this guy. Now we got two possibilities for the front here, right? Because we got 4. This could be 1 and 4, and this could be 2 and 2. So again, let's consult the middle guy on our little CSI mission here. Okay, the middle guy is a -3. Okay, so I'm thinking we're probably going to want to use 1 and 4, because if you use 2 and 2, it doesn't matter what factors you have of 10, they will be even numbers after multiplied by 2. When you add them together, they're still even numbers. So 2 and 2 isn't going to cut it. Okay, so then we're going to use 4 and 1x. Okay, so we got the negative side, so it's like 1's plus and 1's minus, right? Okay, so since the overall thing is minus, and whatever goes over here is going to get multiplied by 4, let's throw the negative sign here. Let's do that. Okay. All right, so not a lot of factors of 10. 1 and 10, 2 and 5. So again, the 10 is probably going to cause too much hassle, right? So let's go with the 2 and the 5. All right, so we're going to say then, we're going to hypothesize that this guy's going to be plus. If I can actually get it to right, that would be good. There we go. So we got 2 and the 5. Which one's going to go with the plus? What do you think? Should we put the 5 with the plus, or should we put the 2 with the plus? Come on, hazard a guess. It won't hurt you. So we'll put the 5 with the plus. Okay, let's try that. Excuse me. So we put a 5 there, and we're going to have a 2 here. All right, so let's do inside outside. See if this works out. So we got 5 times x, that's 5x. And we've got 4 times -2, that's -8x. And 5 minus 8 is -3x. Booyah! Nice job, Chloe. There's our guy. Okay. All right. Let's continue on. Is this the same thing? No, it's different. All right, so same deal here. We got a 5 out front, and the only way to do that is 1 times 5. I'm going to go ahead and set up. We'll have a 5x and an x. Okay. So now we got 1 and 6. We got 2 and 3. So usually we want to use the numbers closer together. So we're going to try 2 and 3. Okay. So the overall guy is positive. So we're thinking whatever gets multiplied by the 5x is going to be something positive. So let's try that. And that one's negative. Okay, so we're using 2 and 3. So if I put the 2 here, that's going to be 5 times 2. That's going to be 10. That's going to be positive 10x. And if I put the 3 here, then that's going to be minus 3x. So 10x minus 3x is 7x. That's our guy. But just to make sure. So we got the inside guys, we got minus 3x. The outside guys, we got plus 10x. 10 minus 3 gives me 7x. So that's our guy. Okay. Okay, so the next one. We've got 6's on both sides. Okay. And everybody's plus. So I'm thinking if we use 1 and 6 in both cases, that's going to be too big, right? So let's try the 2 and 3's. Let's try those. So let's go ahead and set up that idea. So we'll do a 2x here and a 3x here. You got plus and plus. That's always good. That's plus and plus, right? All right, so we need 13. So let's try this. So if I put the 3 here and the 2 here, what do we get? Let's check it out. So 3 times 2, that's 6x. 2 times 3, that's another 6x. And we go, that's 12x. Oop. Not what we needed, is it? So basically all that tells us is we just need to switch the position of the numbers. And that's it. So let's go ahead and erase that stuff. Right? Okay. So then let's do it again here. Let's switch these guys. So we'll get him out of there, get him out of there. And then we'll put the 3 here and the 2 here. All right, so let's try it again. So I got 3 times 3, that's going to be 9x. 2 times 2 is going to be plus 4x. And 9 and 14, yeah, 13. There we go. So the reason I wanted to point that out to you was if you do put them in the wrong spot and you get the wrong answers, the fix is easy. All is definitely not lost. All right. So I'm thinking, why don't we knock out these two and we'll call it. Okay. So again, this guy here, we got some choices, right? We've got 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Typically, we're going to use the smaller guys, right? So we'll do the 2x and then the 5x. That's just kind of a rule of thumb. Unless this number is outrageously big, like if this number was like 40 or something like that, then yeah, we might want to use the 10. But in this case, since it's 3, it's pretty small. We're gonna keep it as a low-key affair. Okay. And again, our guys over here, there's 1 and 4, or 2 and 2, right? 2 and 2 is going to give us an even number in the middle, and the number in the middle is odd, so we got to go with the 1 and the 4, right? Okay, and then one's positive and one's negative. Since the overall is positive, let's put the plus here and the minus here. Okay, so if I put the 4 in here, that's going to be 4 times 5 is 20. That's too big, right? We're not going to be able to subtract off and get all the way back down to 3. So you have to start getting a vibe for these things. So it's like, okay, let's try the 1 there instead. So we'll do a 1 there, we'll do a 4 here. Okay. So then we say, all right, I've got 1 times 5, that's 5x. Then I've got 2 times negative 4, that's negative 8x. So that's minus 3x. We need plus 3x. What do we need to do? How can we fix this up real quick? So this goes a couple slides back, doesn't it? What do I need to change here? Not so subtle hint. So what should we change? Yeah, just change the signs, right? So we're going to make this guy minus. Oops, hang on. So make this guy minus, and this guy plus. which makes this guy minus and this guy plus. And now I have 8 minus 5 is plus 3, and that's my point. Okay? So as you can see, it's a lot of fact-finding missions along the way. And it's okay if you don't get it the first time. I certainly didn't get them the first time. But as you can see, it's an easy fix. Like in that case, it's like, well, we got the -3 and we need the +3, so just switch the signs. Done. Beautiful. All right. So this next guy, he looks like he could be a pain. So we'll try some different things out here. We need a 22 in the middle. That's what we're going for. All right, so let's try some different combinations here. About the only thing we know to start with for sure is this is going to be both pluses, right? So again, let's take our less extreme guys. Let's work with them first. See how that goes. So the closest factors for 12 would be 3 and 4, right? Okay. And then we have 1 and 6, or we have 2 and 3. Okay. So we're trying to get to 22. So I'm thinking if we try 1 and 6, if we put the 1 here, that'll give us an even number, and if we put the 6 here, that'll also give us an even number. Okay. And then we'll test it out, see if we're good. So I've got 1 times 4, that's 4x. And I've got 3 times 6, that's going to be plus 18x, and 18 and 4 is 22x. There's our guy. Okay. So again, I was basing it on odd and even. This one was an even answer, so I had to multiply by an even number here, and I had to multiply by an even number here. As long as you have one even number in each one, you're going to get even numbers total. And then 2 even numbers add together and give you an even number as well. So you can use the odds and evens to really cut down on your time on these things. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's probably a pretty good stopping point. We are going to finally conclude this rather long, lengthy review thing tomorrow. We'll wrap up the week with it, and then we'll start on Chapter 8 next week. So if you guys are good, you can head out. And I have attendance already. I'll shut down the recording, and we will hopefully see you tomorrow. Thursday already.